Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to go over some of the black cards coming out in set 11. We'll give Dark Broly his own video because that deck really has its own identity. But I do want to go over more of the generic black stuff, more specifically the Goku SS4 leader and the Gohan SS4 leader. And this kind of brings us into an issue, and I know that Android's talked about this. I know a few other people have talked about this, where Vegeks might just be the better leader all around for these black archetypes that aren't Dark Broly specifically, and that can be a bit problematic. You know, we've talked a little bit about how Vegeks may just be a problem down the road, whereas Bibidi is definitely still a problem, but maybe just getting rid of Bibidi is more of a band-aid rather than actually fixing the whole problem. So guys, as we get into this video, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. If you want to help the channel out, there are tons of ways to do it down in the description. Check out the Gemmy app, the Patreon, Dex Protection, TCG Player for all your card gaming needs. And finally, guys, there's a giveaway going on the community tab of this channel, so make sure to go over there, check out the giveaway. It's one of the more recent posts. You'll definitely see it. That being said, let's get started. So we have the Goku Leader. He is a black leader, 10k auto burst 3. When this card attacks, add up to 1 card from life to hand, then draw 1. I do like the option to add a life if you want to get self-awakened. That's very good. The burst 3 obviously sets you up for Overwhelm or to play your time agents if you decide to play those cards in your deck. Awaken when life 4 or less, draw 1, and switch with 1 of your energy to active mode. Let's see what we have here. We have SS4 Son Goku, Guardian of History. We have a double strike permanent during your turn. This card gets plus 5,000 power for every 8 black battle cards in your warp. That is pretty solid. I mean, this thing can easily get to 25k on your turn, and a 25k double strike leader is nothing to scoff at. But the activate main's a little bit conflicting, but it is essential. Activate main once per turn, place up to 4 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area, then draw 1. So I think you can still do this and be like a 25k leader. It's just going to mean that you need to overwhelm quite a bit. And that's the one thing about these leaders, including Gohan, which we'll talk about in a second, that I think you really want to, you know, stray away from that Vegeks type of deck. Vegeks is definitely going to be the better leader for the time agent cards. These leaders, you know, this and the Gohan, which we'll read in a second, I think maybe just better suited to like more old school Overwhelm decks, more like Demigra used to play. So that might be something you want to consider when building with these decks. But let's read Gohan real quick. He's going to be a promo. Activate main once per game. You get to add the Piccolo Unison to your hand, which we'll read in a second. Auto burst 3 when this card attacks, draw 1. Does not have the awakening ability that Goku has. And then awaken at 4 or less, draw 1, switch 1 of your energy to active mode, and flip over. We have auto when this card attacks, draw 1, then place up to 3 black cards from your warp in your drop area. Now here's the problem with this. Unlike the Goku leader, this is also an auto. So in Goku, for example, you can attack on your unawakened side, you can awaken and then use your activate main to draw another card and set your drop area up better. This leader unfortunately can't do that. You get only one auto or the other. A little bit unfortunate in that regard, but his other auto is quite strong. Auto once per turn when you activate an Overwhelm skill, this card gets plus 5,000 power and critical or double strike for the turn. Now we don't know exactly how that's going to be ruled, but odds are you're just going to be able to pick. You know, you could pick crit or double strike, and that's probably how it will work. This leader I do think facilitates straight up Overwhelm pretty well, maybe a little bit better than SS4 Goku, but then again on the flip side, on your awakened turn in Goku, you can put 7 cards in your drop area for a pretty hefty Overwhelm, and this leader unfortunately does not offer that. Piccolo Savior from the Beyond. We have a X cost 10k Unison permanent during your turn. This card gets plus 5,000 power for every 2 markers on it. We have a plus 2 activate main, discard a card and get 2 markers. We have a plus 1 activate main, discard a card and draw 1. And then we have a minus 3, send up to 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop area to their warp. So that's pretty cool for like some drop area interruption when your opponent's playing like Sand Instincts, Rebrands, things like that. But this Unison is okay. I mean, the fact that you can search it with your leader means you'll pretty much always have it. You only have to play like 2 copies maximum, but I do think some of the other Unisons that we'll read in a bit are just a little bit better for that leader. So like I said, we'll go over Dark Broly in its own video. SS4 Son Gohan Beyond the Ultimate. We have X 5k auto once per turn when you activate Overwhelm, add a marker to this card, plus 1 activate main, place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area, and then minus 3 activate main, add up to 2 black battle cards with powers between 20k and 30k from your warp to your hand. Then this card gets plus 15,000 power and dual attack for the turn. Now, funnily enough, I think this is actually the better Unison for the Gohan leader we just read, because when you activate Overwhelm, you get a marker, and then you can refill your drop area with his plus 1. It's kind of awkward to play like a Gohan leader next to a Gohan Unison, right? But this just seems to be the Unison that I think will work well for that leader, especially if you're going to play an Overwhelm-centric strategy. Probably also is going to be great in the Goku Leader as well. Again, if you opt to not play the Time Agent engine, which means you wouldn't play the Gotenks Unison, right? And the thing with the Gotenks Unison too is not many of these other leaders get great value from it, because none of the other leaders can give it double strike. Yeah, the 25k dual attack is a good effect for sure, but not giving it double strike means you're gonna have less inherent value than the Vegeks leader would have with it, right? S is for Vegeta, Supreme Saiyan Power. We have an X cost 5k Unison, auto once per turn if your leader card is black. When your opponent plays a battle card using a non-keyword skill, they choose one card from their hand and discard it. +2 auto when you activate an overwhelm skill, add up to one card from light to your hand. And you also get the markers there. So that's an auto. That's a little bit different than we've seen with a plus effect. This triggers when you do something. It's not like an activate main where you trigger it, right? So definitely a little bit different there. And then -5 activate main, pay 4, send one card from your opponent's life to the warp. This could also work quite well in the Gohan leader, but again, it is a little bit more conditional on you using Overwhelm. And I think in Gohan and maybe even certain builds of Goku, you're going to want to Overwhelm every turn, so that shouldn't really be too much of a problem. But like I said, can be a little bit weird, especially if you're going to play this thing on turn 1 and then you're not going to be able to really protect it because you can't add the markers if you can't do a turn 1 Overwhelm, right? That can be a little problematic. S is for Son Goku, Conqueror of Evil. I think this card is very, very cool, but a little bit too expensive. Let's read it. Double strike, Xeno evolve for 5 over any Son Goku Xeno. So that could be Crisis Crusher. That could be the 1-drop Goku Negate. Auto, when a card evolves into this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, send it to the owner's warp. Then this card gains triple attack for the turn. I think that's great. Auto, choose one card in your hand, send it to your warp. When your opponent attacks, negate the attack, then negate the skill for the turn. So you are somewhat safe if you tap out for this, because you're basically turning a card in your hand into a negate. And I think the barrier removal is really good. I think the triple attack is really good. I think this should have been a 4-cost Xeno Evolve. It's a little bit awkward that it's a 5-cost, especially when it itself costs 5, but I guess it is what it is. SS3 Son Goku, Man on a Mission. Pretty good, just generic Overwhelm. 6-drop, Overwhelm 6, critical, double strike. Definitely good, but the thing is, Overwhelm 6 is a bit hard to reach, especially in like the Gohan and the Goku Leader, for example. So a little bit thin here, but we'll see how they end up playing out. We have a Goku super combo, very nice. We have S3 Vegeta Unstoppable Evolution. We have an Overwhelm for 2 black energy. So this is the first time we're seeing like specified black energy to do certain things. Auto, when this card's played using Overwhelm, draw 1, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and send it to the owner's warp. So again, a piece of barrier removal, definitely solid. Something black was definitely missing before. Black super combo, SS Vegeta, the Prince Strikes Back. This is our quote-unquote Paragus or Hoi super combo. And if Bibidi gets the axe, this is probably going to be the card that fills that slot. I mean, the draw 2 on it is quite good, but it has been actually quite relevant, as to the point where if this is the only card in your hand, you can't combo with it. I mean, you can combo with it, but you can't do any of the super combo effects. So that is definitely problematic. Although I guess you still get 10k combo, so that's not too bad, I guess, as opposed to Hoi. SS4 Bardock Combat Instincts. We have a 6-drop dual attack Overwhelm, pay 3 black. Auto, when this card's played using an Overwhelm, choose up 2 of your cards in your opponent's hand and send them to their warp. So I think this card's okay. You know, tapping 6 to warp 2 out of your opponent's hand is pretty good. Getting 6 in the drop area, again, is a bit of the tough part. But what I really like about this card, and another card we'll read in a bit, is that these are regular Bardocks, meaning you can evolve Will of Iron on top of these cards. I don't know if that's going to be like the best way to play it. I've been messing around with a list that does this, but it's a cool thing because it means that your Bardocks don't go away at the end of the turn, and there's another Bardock later on that we can drop for a bit more of a cheap energy cost. And putting a Bardock on top of that does actually seem pretty enticing. So let's go on to the next page. Very nice Bardock SPR. This is the Bardock I was talking about. SS Bardock, the Tenacious. 6-drop, 25k, Overwhelm for 1 black energy. When this card's played using Overwhelm, your opponent can only attack with battle cards once during their next turn. And then auto, when this card's played, you can't play copies of this card during your next turn. So almost like a Nimbus for black, which actually is quite good. But again, the same problem. Getting 6 in the drop is not so easy, especially when your leader only mills 3. Now, if your leader milled 6, that would definitely be too busted. You do have to find other ways to get cards into the drop area. But still, good card. You can put Will of Iron on top of it, which is something that I'm interested in exploring. So, going past all the Dark Broly stuff, let's get on with the other stuff. The vanilla black cards are okay. I don't think they really needed to add anything like 0 combo power to them. That was definitely a bit weak. So Rebellion Hammer, we have a counterplay. If your leader card is black and you send 3 black cards from your drop area to your warp, if the battle card being played at energy cost of 4 or less, it's placed in the owner's drop area instead of being played permanent. If you have 12 or more black cards in your warp, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. I think this card is absolutely excellent. I mean, we know these 2-drop extra card counterplays at this point. We know that they have their formats where they're amazing. We know they have their formats where they're not so great. So just having this card in the back pocket for black, I think is absolutely excellent. Instant transmission 10 times, Kamehameha, counter attack, negate the attack, then place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp into your drop area. That's pretty good because it will be another one of those ways where you can refuel your drop area for those bigger overwhelm 6s, because this alone will put 3 cards into your drop, and then your leader will put another 3, so that'll be 6, right? So that's pretty good. Activate main, pay a black, choose 2 cards from your hand, send to your warp, add this card from drop to hand. I guess it's okay if you have like more dead cards in your hand, but definitely a steep cost. I mean, we saw that with Time's Judgment. That never ended up being too great. So let's get along to the black promos here, and we'll be done with today's video. So going along to the black promos, we have another Bardock Overwhelm for 6. All this thing has is dual attack, and it's a Bardock Xeno, so you don't even have the benefit of putting Will of Iron on top of it. Honestly, to me, pretty weak card for a tournament pack promo, and they made this thing a winner stamp, so I don't know, not too great in my opinion. SS4 Son Goku Beyond All Limits. We have a 6-drop Overwhelm 6 auto if your leader's black. When this card's played using Overwhelm, add up to 1 black battle card. The energy cost between 3 and 7 from your warp to your hand. So 30k means you can play this in Dark Broly as well, but you don't really want to Overwhelm too much in Dark Broly. The cool thing here is you can Overwhelm this out for free, and then you can evolve the other SS4 Goku that we read before, so that works out pretty well. And then we have Mass Saiyan Brainwash No More, 6-drop Overwhelm 6, but the auto is the more important part. Auto, when this card's played using Overwhelm, place up 3 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area, activate battle, pay a black. If your leader card is black and you discard this card from your hand, place 1 card from your life in the drop area, and your leader doesn't take damage for the battle. So that's really good, actually. I mean, you have ways to negate double strike here, ways to negate triple strike. I mean, you're not really negating crit because you're basically critting yourself. I believe this thing also negates victory strike, which actually is something very unique to black now with this card being a promo. But overall, guys, that's what I wanted to go over in today's video. That was more of like the generic Overwhelm black stuff. And it really does pose the question, is Vegeks just going to be the best generic black leader until, you know, something potentially happens to the leader? It kind of seems like the answer is yes to that. Now, again, Dark Broly has its own identity, so that stuff won't be the best in Vegeks. But all the generic black stuff here, you have to think, does it work better in Vegeks, or does it actually work better in the new stuff that we're seeing? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that stuff. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.